If you are considering a Roth IRA, then you have come to the right place, because in this video, we're going to cover everything you need to know about Roth IRAs, from the basics of what they are and how they work, to the more complex strategies of Roth conversions, including backdoor Roths and mega backdoor Roths. Now, depending on where you are in the process of retirement planning and your knowledge level of the Roth IRA, we made sure to break up this video in different chapters in case you wanted to skip ahead, as we're going to start with the basics of Roth IRAs, and towards the end of the video, we'll discuss more complex topics. If we haven't met yet, I'm Jonathan Rankin with Theorem Wealth Management, where our goal is to help you maximize your retirement. So a Roth IRA is a retirement account where you contribute after-tax dollars to be invested. The money is going in taxed, but the growth of your investments is not taxed, and the money that you withdraw from the account is never taxed either. Now, there are a few caveats. You can always withdraw the money that you contribute tax-free, but to withdraw the growth tax-free, you must have had the Roth IRA for 5 years, and you must be older than 59 and a half. If you withdraw earnings prior to 59 and a half or prior to that 5-year rule, then you may be subject to taxes and penalties. And just like other retirement accounts like a traditional IRA or 401k, there is no such thing as a joint Roth IRA, because IRA stands for individual retirement account. So if you and your spouse want to both contribute, you'll have to do so individually. And if one of you works and the other one doesn't, well, as long as you file a joint tax return, then the one working can actually contribute to a Roth IRA, and your spouse can contribute to a spousal Roth IRA as well. It's a great way for non-working spouses to save for retirement. Now, the biggest benefits of a Roth IRA is that it provides tax-free growth and tax-free withdrawals in retirement. And on top of that, there are no required minimum distributions. This allows you to be very strategic in retirement about how much of your income is taxable. Roth IRAs have the same contribution limits as traditional IRAs, and in 2023, you can contribute $6,500 if you're under the age of 50 and $7,500 if you're over 50. Now, if your income is too high, you won't be able to contribute to a Roth IRA because you'll be phased out, but you do have options to get around that with what is called a backdoor Roth IRA, which we'll get to in a bit. Now, once you deposit money into the IRA, you'll need to invest the money, because just opening an account and contributing to it does not mean that the money is invested. A Roth IRA itself is just an account that you hold investments in. It's not an investment itself. It's important to consider your risk tolerance and your investment goals when choosing your investments. Because of the tax-free growth and withdrawals that come with the Roth IRA, this gives you the opportunity to be very strategic about where you hold your investments if you have other accounts. By creating what we call a smart portfolio, it not only factors in what you're investing, but also factors in your asset location. You can really minimize your taxes over the course of your lifetime. Now, to do that, you would use your Roth IRA to hold the assets that have the most growth potential or the biggest tax impact. And one question that we get all the time is whether or not a Roth IRA is better than a traditional IRA. Because traditional IRAs, those give you the tax deductible contributions, meaning that the money goes in pre-tax, but withdrawals in retirement are taxed at ordinary income. Roth IRAs, on the other hand, they don't give you a tax break up front, but they do provide that tax-free growth and tax-free withdrawals in retirement. Both of them have their pros and cons, but to simplify the decision, it really comes down to answering the question, will your income tax rate be higher today while you're working or later in retirement? If you think your tax rate will be higher while you're working, then a traditional IRA or traditional 401k would be best. If not, then a Roth is going to be best. And that's it. That's all that matters in this decision-making process. Now, the whole goal is to pay Uncle Sam less. Now, I know it's hard to determine whether or not your future tax rate is going to be higher or lower than where it is today. On top of that, maybe you're living in a state that has a high income tax rate today, but you're eventually going to move to a completely different state that has a lot lower tax rate. Well, the thought of having a large sum of money in an account that's never going to be taxed sounds extremely appealing. I mean, there's the story of the PayPal founder who's got a $5 billion Roth IRA because he put the shares into the account before it even went public. So yeah, it sounds great, but really it just comes down to your tax rate today versus your tax rate in retirement for people who are just contributing to these accounts. Now, if you aren't in the lower tax brackets and you're not in the highest tax brackets, but you find yourself just somewhere in the middle and are unsure of what your taxes are going to be in retirement, then there is nothing wrong with doing both. There's no rule to say that you can only contribute to one type of account as long as you meet the IRS criteria for contribution limits. Now, with that said, there is one reason why I typically lean towards the traditional IRA as opposed to the Roth. and that's optionality. Because when you contribute to a traditional account, you control when you pay your taxes. Which brings us to Roth conversion strategies. If you have a traditional IRA or traditional 401k, you can convert it into a Roth IRA. This allows you the flexibility to choose when you pay your taxes. This can be a smart move if you expect your tax rate to be higher in retirement than it is today. It's important to consider the tax implications of a Roth conversion before you make any moves. The first step when considering a Roth conversion is to identify the tax problem if there is one. For example, if you have a large balance in tax-deferred accounts, whether that's your 401k or maybe even a lump sum pension that you rolled into an IRA, eventually you're going to be forced to take mandatory distributions from that account. And those RMDs can easily get to the point that pushes you into that highest tax bracket automatically. Once you've identified that there's a tax problem, then it's time to determine what your tax liability is. This is where you're going to figure out how much you're going to owe in taxes if you converted your entire 401k or traditional IRA into a Roth account. And to do this, you'll need to determine your taxable income rate. So you want to factor in all of the income sources that you have out there. The good thing is, even if you're under the age of 59 and a half, withdrawals from your traditional accounts during a conversion do not come with the 10% penalty. And once you know your tax liability, you'll need to determine the optimal conversion amount. This is the amount of money that you should convert to a Roth IRA each year to minimize your tax liability. Now, to determine the conversion amount, you're going to need to consider your current tax bracket, your expected tax bracket in retirement, and your projected income for the year, which is why it's important to think about timing strategies for performing a Roth conversion. There are several timing strategies you can use when performing Roth conversions. There's the traditional approach where you convert your traditional IRA to a Roth gradually over time. There's the lump sum approach where you do it all at once. And then there's the top-off approach where you convert just enough every single year to get you to the next tax bracket. Each timing strategy has its benefits and its drawbacks, and the best strategy for you will depend on your individual circumstances. For example, the traditional approach spreads out the tax liability over several years. It minimizes the impact on your income tax bracket and allows you to take advantage of potential tax law changes. The downside is that it limits the amount you can convert each year, and if taxes actually change and go the other way and they get higher, then you might actually have to pay more taxes because of the increase in tax rates down the road. Now, the lump sum approach, that maximizes the benefit of the tax-free growth because you're doing it all at once and the growth is going to be able to compound from that initial starting point. But by doing it all at once, it can easily push you into the highest tax brackets and cause you to pay more taxes than you initially wanted to. And finally, the top-off approach takes advantage of lower tax rates in your current income bracket by allowing you to gradually convert your traditional IRA to a Roth over time, and it minimizes your tax liability. However, it limits the amount that you can convert each year, and it might take you years to convert as much as you really want to. Now, there are two very common conversion strategies that help higher earning individuals who are phased out of contributing to Roth IRAs, and those are the Backdoor Roth and the Mega Backdoor Roth. A Backdoor Roth IRA is where you put after-tax money into a traditional IRA and then convert those funds into a Roth IRA. While conversions have no limit on how much you can convert each year, the Backdoor Roth IRA strategy has the same IRA contribution limits because you're technically making a contribution to an IRA. There is one very important rule that you need to be aware of if you are considering this strategy, and that is the Pro-Rata rule. You see, the IRS requires that rollovers from your traditional IRA to a Roth IRA be done pro-rata. Let me show you what I mean. Here we have a traditional IRA that you fund with pre-tax dollars and a Roth IRA that you would like to fund using after-tax dollars. In a perfect world, you would put after-tax money into the traditional IRA and then immediately roll that money over into your Roth IRA. But because of the pro-rata rule, it's not that simple. Let's say you have $100,000 in your traditional IRA that includes some contributions, some growth, and maybe even an old 401k that you consolidated into. And now you decide to contribute the maximum of $6,500 if you're under the age of 50. The IRS does not allow you to cherry pick those $6,500 and roll that money into the Roth. Unfortunately, you have to take an equal amount of the pre-tax as well as the after-tax. So to convert the full $6,500, you actually have to convert the entire IRA to a Roth, which would cost you quite a bit in taxes because the $100,000 is pre-tax money and will be taxed when you convert it. The IRS, they aggregate all of your IRA balances, and that is including SEP IRAs. The good thing is that they don't include employer-sponsored plans like 401ks. So if you really wanted to leverage the backdoor strategy, you could consolidate your IRAs back into your 401k if you have one, and that would help neutralize the pro-rata rule. Now, the last type of conversion strategy is known as the mega backdoor Roth. And this is where you do the exact same thing as the backdoor Roth IRA, but you're doing it inside of your traditional 401k. This allows you to save even more into a Roth account because unlike traditional IRAs that have a limit of $6,500 or $7,500 if you're over the age of 50, a 401k allows you to contribute a maximum of $66,000 a year if you're under the age of 50 and $73,500 if you're over the age of 50. Of that amount, $22,500 can be pre-tax contributions or $30,000 if you're over the age of 50, and the remaining amount can either be company matching funds if your company matches you, or after-tax money that you contribute, which is where the mega backdoor Roth comes into play. You would contribute money after tax to your 401k and then immediately roll that money into your Roth IRA. Now, to make this strategy work, your 401k must allow for after-tax contributions, which are listed in a separate bucket from your regular contributions. The plan must also allow for in-service distributions, allowing you to take after-tax contributions out of your 401k plan while you're still working and move them into your Roth account. If it doesn't, then you wouldn't be able to transfer the money into a Roth IRA until you left your job. Now, just like a regular backdoor Roth IRA, 401k withdrawals are generally subject to the pro-rata rule as well, which says you can't exclusively withdraw pre-tax or post-tax contributions from your traditional 401k. You must take out an amount equal to the ratio of your contribution sources. For the mega backdoor Roth, the pro-rata rule means you can't exclusively make in-service withdrawals of post-tax contributions if your traditional 401k balance includes pre-tax and post-tax money. Instead, you might need to roll over your entire 401k balance in the mega backdoor Roth maneuver. And in that situation, you'll likely roll your pre-tax contributions into a traditional IRA and your post-tax contributions into the Roth IRA like you wanted. Now, if your employer tracks pre-tax and post-tax contribution amounts as well as their growth separately, then you might be able to get around this and simply withdraw your entire post-tax contributions outright. The Roth conversions, backdoor Roths, and mega backdoor Roths can be great strategies, but they are very complex, and you want to make sure that you are very careful when doing them. Roth conversions can be a very powerful tool for retirement planning, but there are also mistakes that can significantly impact your retirement. One of the biggest mistakes that you can make when converting a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA is failing to consider your current tax bracket. I know this seems obvious, but you will need to pay taxes on the amount you convert. So if you're already in a high tax bracket today, you might end up paying a lot more money in taxes than you initially planned on, all just to get the money into a Roth. I've seen this happen where people are so excited about funding a Roth IRA with a large amount during a conversion, but they forget the amount of money they're having to pay in taxes is based on their current income. So it's important to consider your current and future tax brackets before doing any sort of Roth conversions. Now, another mistake to avoid is converting too much of your traditional IRA to a Roth at one time. This can really push you into a higher tax bracket and result in a larger tax bill than you were wanting. It's typically better to spread out the Roth conversions over several years to avoid that issue, but there may be years where you might do higher amounts if you've got a year where you're in a lower income bracket. Another mistake is if you're receiving Social Security benefits, a Roth conversion can actually impact your benefits. Converting a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA increases your taxable income, which will likely result in higher tax bill and lower Social Security benefits. So it's important to consider the impact on your Social Security before making a Roth conversion. As great as Roth IRAs and Roth conversions can be, there are just times where it's just a bad idea. For example, if you're in the highest tax bracket today, a Roth conversion is probably not the best choice for you because converting a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA could result in a pretty hefty tax bill, and it just might not be worth it in the long run. Also, if you're close to retirement, a Roth conversion might not be a good idea either because you really want the time for your investments to grow and that tax benefit to be realized. So if you're close to retirement or you're already retired, it just might not be the best choice for you. Roth IRAs can be great accounts. They offer tax-free growth and tax-free withdrawals in retirement with no required minimum distributions and can help you save on taxes while you're in the distribution phase of retirement. However, it's important to understand how the account fits into your specific retirement picture. So now that you know what a Roth IRA is, how it works, and some of the advanced strategies to fund one, make sure you check out this video coming up next that covers the top 5 retirement planning myths. I'll see you there.